Hello everyone and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of a Serology and Squil. This audio podcast as part of a Hustle and Serotype, and this audio podcast as part of a Defcon premiere, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. Continuing on and looking at immunobiology, immunobiology and stratifying receptors. Stratifying receptors, investigations. Differential expression of chemokines. Differential expression of chemokine receptors coordinates specific leukocyte trafficking, which is important for development, distribution, and deployment where immunobiology or immunology is concerned. In contrast to hematology components, including lymphocytes, neutrophils, and eosinophils, that uniformly express smaller subgroups of chemokine receptors, the interleukin 8 or IL-8 receptors, CXR1 and CXR2. CX3CR1 had been identified as an unusual chemokine receptor, because in early research it had not been expressed on mice T cells, but is or have been expressed on in between 5% and 30% of mice natural killer cells or NK cells. Early investigations had informed that at least 3 appear to play important roles in experimental investigations of acute allograft rejection and AAR, and these being CCR1, CXCR3, and CCR5. In experimental works, chemokine receptors antagonists are more effective when used with low-dose calcineurin inhibitors, than when administered as a monotherapy. It is transparent or clear from early research that blockade of chemokine receptors had become more important, and additionally to the pharmacotherapeutics armada in the prevention of acute allograft rejection or AAR. The combination of clinical expression of certain chemokine receptors during AAR with compelling evidence from rodent laboratory investigations using knockout mice and or neutralizing monoclonal antibodies had led to therapeutic or pharmacotherapeutic advances targeting CXCR3 and CCR5. To that end, pharma industries had developed sort of small molecule antagonists and humanized monoclonal antibodies that have been tested in preclinical models either alone or in conjunction with immunosuppression. The first peer-reviewed data on such work in non-human primate allograft recipients was obtainable or was published in around 2004, in around 2004, and so in around 2004 as part of the early works in around the earlier part of the new millennia. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of a Serology and Squil. This audio podcast as part of a Hustle and Serotype. This audio podcast as part of a Defcon premiere. And this audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production.